let's make sure that we're sitting very comfortably so we can begin practice. And this is very important for this class, because this week, if you've been paying attention, I've been going over those really 4 things, alignment and actions, that are very important for posture, so that we are not sitting in a slumped position. Posture is discussed not only in the Yoga Sutras, but also in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the importance of the seated posture. So let's investigate. We know, we've heard many times before, root the buttock bones. That's not an alignment cue, that's an action. But we do want to be aligned, making sure we're on the center of those buttock bones, not heavy left or right, not rotated forward or backward, right on the center. Then the spine should lift. That is number 2. We'll come back to the abdominals. Number 3 is going to be lift your chest. Lift the chest without lifting or poking out your ribs. This just comes from this area up here where the heart is. Uncollapse that which is collapsed. And then when you pull those shoulder blades down the back and then towards each other, that is number 4. That will fix the shoulder bones, since the shoulder blades and the shoulder bones are connected. Instead of the shoulder bones dropping forward and rolling internally, they will be pulled back and pulled into neutral. And then, finally, make sure that you've engaged your abdominal muscles, the lift of the pit of the abdomen. That does 2 things for us at this point. It supports the lift of your spine, and it pulls the energy up. The buttock bones root down like roots into a tree, reaching into the earth to get the nutrients from the Mother Earth, and then the lift of the pit of the abdomen is what's moving that energy upwards, moving those nutrients upwards. And then while holding all of this, that's when we explore. We move the mind around the body. And to make sure that the skin everywhere is soft. And while maintaining the lift of the chest and checking to make sure that we didn't poke the bottom ribs out, we can pay attention in that area where the ribs would have poked out if we left it, and make sure that the diaphragm is moving. It moves forward, it moves backwards, it moves left, it moves right. Even the breath out, let it soften and flow. Match the inhale with the exhale. The observation is in which is the longer one, and bring the opposite to that point. Now we relax out of this practice and bring our hands up to our hearts. Then exhale, bow the head. Reflect on who you really are. After the body, after the mind, what's left? What is there of you? And then release, open your eyes and lift the head. Take a deep breath, inhale up. Interweave the fingers and turn the palms to the sky. Bow your head. And release. Twist to your right. Release. Twist to your left. And release. Bring your legs out in front of you, bump your thighs. And then we'll lie on our back and do our little warm up. And we'll do the very simple one, which is full body stretch, single knee to chest, double knee to chest, and then the side rolls. Make sure you've got plenty of room. When you reach your arms overhead, get positioned so there's nothing interfering with your being able to lengthen completely. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, feel yourself relaxing, and exhale again. And then one more time. Now the single knee to chest, bringing the knee up on the exhale and stretching out on the inhale. Also adding the lift of the upper body if it feels comfortable. One more each side. And then we'll go into the double knee to chest. That also is optional to lift the upper body. And then you've done your three. Stretch all the way back out. And then bring the knees to the chest to wrap the arms around them. And we'll just do some side rocks or rolls, just massage the back. Okay, and then place the feet down. And let's go ahead and get set up now. For those of you who have the 8-foot belt, so this is my 6-foot belt. That's going to stretch my hamstring. So if that's all I have, that's fine. I'm going to stretch my hamstring, my outer hip, and my inner thigh all at one time. And then over here, I keep my 8-foot belt. So this is where we think, oh, I wish I had gotten my 8-foot belt. I knew I should have. But just a reminder, let me move this here, that the belt goes around the left foot like this, and then the loop will go around your right thigh. This is where we get lost. There's a little bit of left, right, left confusion here. It's left foot and then the right hip. The buckle, this should be taught when we're young, so we know it when we're adults, is on the outside of the right leg and not touching the hip. The tail points away from you, so that you can adjust it away from you so that the belt doesn't pull the thigh bone internally, but externally, right? And then we take the right leg up. So we'll all be taking the right leg up. If we don't have the belt, then I push the left leg to straight. So now I have hip traction. The traction is important for a few reasons, and you've heard it 1,000 times. One is it creates space in the joint where there has not been any. And two, it puts pressure on the joint capsule itself, which is, connective tissue. When connective tissue in many of us, it just becomes very dehydrated as we're stationary, as we stress, as we overuse or abuse. These are all reasons for areas of the body to become stagnant. In that the connective tissue compartments hold a lot of moisture. It's like rivers flowing, and when it becomes dehydrated or tense, then the rivers are not flowing, and a lot of things begin to go a little bit awry. This is just not what is supposed to happen. Now that was the hamstring stretch. Both of the belts into your left hand for the outer hip, right? So you might not can see from the lateral view, but my leg is going over my body so that my big toe lines up with my left shoulder. So just one little bit. And if you notice in the camera, you did not see my hip lift. You saw the thigh bone move, but this did not happen. That did not pop up. So this is now for our outer hip. And this will get tight. If you sit a long time, and we keep talking about sitting a lot because it seems like we have these stay-at-home orders and shelter in place, and we're not all as active as we've been. So we sit and we watch TV, or we're on the computers a lot. And so when you sit with your knees apart, that is going to shorten these muscles. So this becomes very important. Now we come back to neutral, and we're going to take the leg all the way over to the side. I'm not going to, a lot of times I'll turn and show this from the foot side of the practice, but I'm pretty sure you can see that I just took my leg out to the side, and the left leg is staying connected and grounded. But we have a lot of YouTube videos now that have me turning to show this from a different view. So today I said, I'll just stick this way for the practice. I'm using my arm like a kickstand, but you could keep the elbow straight and the arm hovering above the floor if the arm doesn't mind that, if the leg doesn't mind it. And also, everyone here has practiced with me enough to know you can also put support under that leg. So you have options. Now on your exhale, pull the belly towards the floor to help support the spine as you lift the heaviness of that leg up and release. Okay, so there we went. And I know that I probably don't need to do anything different with this belt, but I'm going to go ahead and switch the belt to the opposite side anyway, as if I were going to make adjustments, because it's a really good habit. It's just a good habit, because if you just keep making do, then the mind, I'm just going to flip the belt over and not pay attention. The mind will think that in the future when it is important. To wrap your mind around the location of the buckle is important. So I'm going to start with my right knee bent. Take the left leg up now. Make sure that I've got plenty of room to my left when I take my leg out to the side. Then press the right leg to straighten out. If there is anything different from side to side, I have the buckle right here for my left hand to reach and adjust. This particular buckle works well for me to just pop, let a little belt out, and then snap it shut, or bend this knee and pull the tail, and my belt will be tighter. I'm ready for my hamstring stretch. We're always going to be looking for those muscles that are around the hips that could impact what's happening in the low back. So the low back is affected by what's above and what's below. And really what's below all the way down to the bottom, so even our feet. So we want to pay attention to that. We're not around each other enough to do foot assessments, but we should pay attention to how we stand. Look down at our feet and make sure that we're not collapsing our arches. And if we are, what are we going to do? Well, work on lifting the toes when you stand in Tadasana, and pay attention to if you are overarched and how you can do some practices for that. That's a whole different class, isn't it? So now let's do the outer hip. And again, I'm going to move my foot, my whole leg to the right, get the big toe lined up with the right shoulder, and then I stop. That's enough for the outer hip. But the internal and external rotation of the thigh bones when we stand is also important. If you have high arches, for example, that can be problematic. It tends to put more weight on the outer edges of the feet. We tend to collapse into the outer ankles. So having a support in your shoe can help. You can actually redirect the weight from falling towards the outer edge of the foot more towards the inner edge. And that can go all the way up into your hips. and help the low back. So these things are nice to know. And then lift the leg up and switch hands, and over to the side we go. You know, the inner thighs attach to the front of the pelvis, and they can join the hip flexors in being problematic with low back pain. So you might say, oh, the inner thighs, I'll just skip them today. But on days that you have time, I wouldn't recommend it. I recommend you pay attention to all these muscles around the hips. And then on the exhale, lift that leg up and release. And take that extra belt off. So that, for those of you who only have the one belt, this will be the only practice that we do today where 2 belts are required. So you'll have that feeling of, I wish I had 2 belts. And again, the whole sequence is fine. Originally, we would do that, without the traction belt, until someone got really wise and discovered we needed that. So just going to let the legs relax for a moment and notice how they feel. Let the prana flow into the pelvis. And then let's do the Piriformis Stretch, followed by the figure 4, because I know that we just did the inner thigh stretch, but the figure 4 actually gets a little bit more, not just the inner groin tightness around the pubic bone, but also the front groin. So it's a combination where we really get stuck. It's not a muscular stretch, it's a connective tissue stretch. To do this, we really want our legs to be able to get a little closer to us so that we can hold the feet better, the leg and the feet. So it'll be good to roll over to the side and get 2 blankets, fold them, and that way we can put our pelvis up on them. So I'm going to get this blanket and fold it. So I've got a little narrow fold. And now my second one. So if you don't have 2 blankets, you can use one. And if you have no blankets, you could just do it flat on the floor. It just helps if you're elevated to do this. You can also do this with your foot on the wall, but I'm not going to move away from the middle of the room. So just know that if it's more comfortable for you, not the leg is like the Piriformis Stretch eye of the needle, the leg that's supporting the leg that you're actually working. It may be nice to have that foot resting on a wall, so you can really focus on the leg that you're trying to get that inner groin connective tissue area released. So now you lie down, and you don't sit on the blankets and lie down. And I just imagine someone already just did that. But anyway, you lie down. You don't want to fall that far back. You lift your hips and slide these under. Can you use blocks? Yeah, you can. They're a little hard. And I'll tell you, if you have a fun roller handy, that's fine too. So it's about the same height as this. So now I'm ready. I'm going to keep the pelvis flat. I'm not going to let myself drop. In the Piriformis Stretch, you can lift the sacrum towards you more. But in the figure 4, you want the sacrum on the blankets. So I'm going to cross the right leg over the left. And there we are. That's the Piriformis Stretch, right? So I can hold my left leg at the thigh bone, at the shin bone, or I can just let the left leg do the work. I'm going to hold and give myself a nice, I need a good stretch. In this right leg, if you can see the foot, I'm pulling the toes towards the shin. And I just bring that close to me until I feel that nice stretch in this area right here. We know where that stretch is. We've felt it before. This is the one that we should do, definitely, if we have the sciatica that's caused by the piriformis being tight. Be careful though, because it can also irritate the sciatica. Now to do the figure 4, I'm going to turn my whole self. This is where that revolving table I keep waiting for Amazon to come out with it so I can get it. I'm going to turn this way because what we want to see is what I do with the right hand. So this is where we were. I've just turned my position. I pulled my legs towards me, remember, so that my sacrum and tailbone actually lifted more toward me, but now I'm going to put it back down. So when you look at your left leg, it's now perpendicular to the ceiling. In the piriformis stretch, either needle, the thigh bone can tilt towards you. But in this stretch, you want it perpendicular to the floor. And then the left foot, that's what could be on the wall that lets this leg relax and not have to work so hard. Now the left hand is going to hold the right foot, so that's a little different. It holds the foot and you make sure that you've got your toes pulled towards the knee. And here's what the right hand does. It has 3 things to do, and we do them one at a time. Number 1, I press just enough into the thigh bone to catch the skin and flesh. So I've got it so I can now lift it up. The hand goes up. It goes in, catches the flesh, and then goes up. And now I'm lengthening from the groin all the way up the thigh towards the knee, and then I press away. And that creates the external rotation that we're looking for. So now what we have is that connective tissue in this area from inner groin to front groin, all that is getting lengthened in a way that we rarely get to. We do this in that hip opener called Supta Janu Tadasana, the external rotation practice that opens up the internal rotators. But I really like this one because I can get a little bit more into that, what I like to refer to as the gristle. Now you can tell how the left leg may fatigue and tire, and while some of us might like the foot on the wall. So that's again optional. And then we'll release. On days that you can, hold it for a long time because that's what it really takes to get that to let go. Let's do the other side now. So number 1 will be the piriformis stretch. I have the needle. I recommend doing this one quite frequently. Those hip muscles get tight. There's nothing holding them back from just getting so tight we can hardly even get ourselves in this position. They're very small muscles. I just was working on a handout for the therapeutic training today. One of the things I had to type up was those 6 little deep external rotator muscles they're the buddies of the piriformis. Now, let's go. Now let's remember that we're going to drop the back of the pelvis back onto the pad and now pull these toes, make sure they're pulled towards the shin, keep the thigh bone perpendicular to the floor. Hold the foot with your right hand, and now your left hand's got 3 things to do. Number 1, catch the flesh. I just press in just to get a hold of it. Then push up. Press in, push up. Now I've lengthened it, and now I'm going to push the thigh bone into external rotation and hold it. Yeah, we have to hold it for a while. So we're going to hold it and let that right leg get a little tired. But it's what has to be done. I do feel like, this tightness here is what, along with the hip flexors, is what begins to pull us into that forward flexion posture. We see people in that. Just today, I noticed someone walking into Whole Foods. And I thought, oh, I need her to do some bridges and some connective tissue release with me, but we can't get within 6 feet of her to even inform her. We can help you with that. It just looks like we're not happy in our bodies when they start to collapse forward. So we really want to protect ourselves from that. Now let's release and place your feet on the floor. We've been on a very soft surface, so we don't have to do any particular practices to release off of this, but I do recommend you lift your hips and pull it out and then come down. And then we'll roll over to the side and sit up. Now let's do some, we were mentioning the hip flexors, so we should just, since we're on that topic, go right into our lunges, because that really is probably one of the best ways to get tension out of the psoas and iliacus. But today, we're going to do those differently than the same old boring lunges on the floor. Sometimes, don't you just feel like, I just can't do another lunge. I just can't. I just can't. So we're going to do them standing with our chair. So now if you don't have a chair, that's okay. You can use Anything you have, a table, a couch, like this wicker chair right here, is fine. I'll just push it up against the wall, do my dog pose with my hands on the chair arms or the chair seat, and then step forward to do the warrior, or the lunge. So I'm going to bring the metal chair on the mat. What this reminds you is that in your quest to get all the home props that you need is you've got to buy Staples and get your metal chair. I've seen them, I don't know if they have them now, but I've seen them at Target before. And I've seen them, of course, at Staples and Office Depot. All right, so first walk up to whatever piece of furniture you're using. Even this, for example, this is just a stool. This would work fine to just use that. The height isn't so important. We're just trying to be up a little bit and not all the way down on the floor. So here is a downward facing dog. Since I'm not in the kitchen, pulling away from the sink, I can actually use the same idea to push into the chair and recoil the spine away from the chair or the counter or the stool or the sofa arm. And then lift the head and start to shift forward and set that right foot all the way to that chair so that the shin touches the chair seat and the foot is under the chair. And then I'm in my lunge. So I don't have quite the left hip flexor stretch I want. So I'm going to wiggle my left foot back a little bit and there. Now I feel the length in the left front pelvis. Left front hip, I should say. Now take a deep breath, inhale, and on the exhale, I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to go back to the downward facing dog with chair or stool, and then step the left foot forward as I exhale. Now, you could, if you wanted to, and I wouldn't know the difference, you could say, I'm just going to do a regular dog, and then step forward into a regular lunge. And that's fine. But remember, I'm teaching a healthy back and spine class. So my thoughts are always, how can I help people who are in pain? And so coming up a little bit keeps us in that safer place. Now the shoulder blades should sink towards the pelvis, so we're not going to collapse. Remember, what's above the back, low back, affects it also, just like what's below it. So I want to make sure that I've got the best upper body alignment possible. This is staying lifted, just like I told you at the beginning of class. The shoulder blades are down and retracted gently. Just as I said at the beginning of the class, the spine is extended. Just as I said at the beginning of class, it's all still there. And the pit of the abdomen is still lifted. And the exhale, come back into the downward facing dog. Now, we should go ahead, since we're in this, and do another hamstring stretch. So why don't we do a variation of Tadasana? So once I step the right foot forward, I look like I'm just in a lunge. I'm going to narrow the stance a little bit first. I'm just going to hop that left foot forward a little bit and turn the heel in. Then I'm going to straighten the right leg. Then pull the right hip away from the chair so my pelvis is more level. Then work to get the spine extended. This becomes part of creating a healthy spine. But now let's go into the back of the right leg. So I begin to bend the elbows. I'm coming down. I can take the chair legs like this, if this is the kind of chair I've got, and start to go down. Or suppose I was just using that stool. It's not as easy to walk down those legs. So I just reach for the floor, or maybe have my blocks handy. But go to a place that you feel you can stretch the back of this leg comfortably. So the body does a little bit of a movement to be over the right leg. The upper leg, your navel, your breastbone, your nose, everything kind of goes over to the right a little bit. And then there you are. Then you bring your hands back onto the chair and push with your arms to straighten the elbows, and then bend the right knee and step the right leg back. We're back in that downward facing dog position. And now we'll step the left foot forward to repeat that. Shin all the way to the chair, then straighten the leg, hop the right foot forward a little bit and turn the heel in. Then pull the left hip this side away from the chair, bringing your pelvis to a more level position. First, get the spine long and straight, creating that healthy extension in your back. This will be part of back strengthening. Then we go into the stretch. Now, some of us might get here and feel like, oh, this is all I can do. My arms are getting tired. You can actually come down and rest on your forearms. Then others can come down and hold it. If you've got this kind of chair, hold the chair legs or slip all the way down to the floor or have your blocks handy. And then we'll walk the hands back up onto the chair seat, push into the chair to straighten the arms, go back in extension. Let's bend the left knee and step that left leg back. Return to dog. Now, if we can do that and get that spine really extended and straight and long, why not go ahead and throw a twist in there? Okay. Step the right foot forward once again. Straighten the right leg. The left foot can come up a little bit so that the heel will go down. And now what I'll do, since the right leg is forward and I want to twist, I'll put the left hand right in the center of the chair. If I was at a counter, like a kitchen counter, I'd put my hand on the counter. If I were on that stool, I could be using that wicker chair behind me. If I was standing beside the end of a sofa and I had a sofa arm, right on the center of the sofa arm, and then I'll turn away from the back leg, but towards the front leg, which is the right. So now I'm in revolve triangle pose. So the spine must lift. Every time you inhale, lift. Every time you exhale, that's when you try to twist a little bit more. I'm not making a big, hairy deal out of how far I go into the twist. I just want to twist. That's the most important thing, the twist. Getting the rectus spinae to let go of the tension. Turn towards the chair, bend the right knee, inhale, and exhale back to the downward facing dog. Every time we come here, we press into the chair or the stool and lengthen the spine away. So we're getting our traction in the best we can in this format. Then shift forward, step the left foot all the way up to the chair. Straighten the left leg, hop the right foot forward and turn the heel in. Place your right hand flat on the chair seat. And then the left hand comes to the hip and we turn. Turn. So I'm away from the camera now, but that's okay. And then we'll turn to the chair, bend the left knee, and for the last time, return to downward facing dog. Lift the head, inhaling. Exhale, step up to your chair or your prop, and then we'll move that off the mat. What we're hoping is that with those practices, we got the body really nice and warm. So even if we have a little bit of back issue today, we're warm enough now that we could go into triangle pose and side angle pose with ease and not much problem. If you were experiencing a lot of back tension or even back pain, one of the key things that we want to remember is these poses can be very beneficial for these issues. However, it's not how far down into the postures you go to the left or right, but that you do the poses and do them well. Don't think about, let me go as far as I can. Think about, let me just create these shapes, let me do these movements to the left and to the right that are going to help my spine without trying to go to the place where the spine actually becomes more compressed. I'm going to set these blocks up on the left and right of the mat. Stand in Tadasana. It feels good after that little practice. Such a simple practice that seems to really benefit my spine. That's all I need. I'm the one that's been out there in that backyard doing all that yard work and hauling mulch. It feels good now. Bend your knees and inhale and step your feet wide apart. The left foot turns in and the right leg turns out. Contract your thigh muscles, reach out over the right leg and place your hand on the block. And even in Trikonasana, what are those 4 points. Now take the grounding goes out of the buttock bones. Now it goes into your feet. But remember those 4 points. The spine must be long. The chest must be lifted. The shoulder blades descend and move towards each other. In this posture, they do. The shoulder blades will change according to where they are located, the arms are located. But for this posture, it's just like what we did in sitting. And the pit of the abdomen stays lifted. That lift of the chest counters what happens when we sit a lot. Everything falls forward. This needs to lift. Be strong in your legs and inhale up you come and turn your feet forward and do the other side. And when you get to the other side, don't forget the 4 things. And of course, there are 5 if you count the buttock bone grounding, but that goes from the buttock bones to the feet now. But the 4 things that don't change, the spine, from the tailbone to the crown of the head, long and lifted, shoulder blades descending and towards each other. Pit of the abdomen lifted and that chest open. And then inhale up you come, turn your feet forward, bend your knees, inhale, and exhale, step your feet together, let your arms drop by your side. Now side angle pose. And now for this one, pick the level that you go down to the pose that you know will be beneficial for both sides of your spine. Because if we go too low, we will compress the bottom side, and there we've lost what we can benefit from. We've lost what we are trying to do for our body with this practice today to help it to heal. On the inhale, step your feet wide apart, left foot and right leg out. On the exhale, bend the knee, hand down to the block of the floor. And if you need to be really high, you can put your elbow on your knee, but most of you will be fine. Just go ahead and have the hand on the block at the appropriate level. But feel that you can lift the spine equally on both sides. And that's a little tricky if we've gone too far down in the posture, isn't it? Remember what we said about what's above and below? In this practice, when you're reaching that top arm, that is going to help you to unstick the tightness that we get around that shoulder girdle and that upper back. And that will therefore indirectly affect the low back. So you're still doing your 4 things, but the top arm now, that shoulder blade action has changed. Inhale up you come and turn your feet forward. Right foot in, left leg out, exhale, bend the knee, hand over your head. And then inhale up you come, turn your feet forward, bend the knees, inhale, and exhale, step your feet together, and lower your arms by your side. Oh. Now, there is another thing that I wanted to do today with the chair, or the prop that you were using. And that is now for, because we've done so much stuff for mobility, I wanted to do a little bit of back strengthening. And once again, there's that balancing cat. There we go again. Or Shavasana, the locust pose. How many times are we going to have to do that before we finally say, please, somebody give me something else to do? I will. We'll be doing variations of Warrior 3. But so that we're not trying to balance, we're just going to take the whole balance story out of the pose. We'll just use our prop. Now, I got really good news. Suppose you just wanted to use 2 blocks. That'll be fine. This would be how you set yourself up. You've got your blocks and you're ready to go like this. See, my legs are vertical. My upper body cannot do the work. But I'm going to be up a little bit higher because once again, my approach with this class is this is back care. And so it's a video for people to watch and help themselves with their challenges. So I want to make sure that people know, don't go to a place that's uncomfortable. Use a prop that will help you. So when you hold them to the sides of the chair and bring the legs to vertical, and the back is as straight as it can be. So anytime you get an opportunity to look in a mirror at yourself or in a video of yourself, now everyone's got a Zoom account. You can just Zoom your own self during the day. Make sure that you're not practicing like this. Do you see the roundedness? If I'm strengthening myself in this position, I'm just going to get stuck in this position with strong back muscles. I want to be long in my spine. Bring the feet together and lift the left leg up. Make sure you're on the 4 points of that right foot. Big toe mound, little toe mound, inner and outer heel. And when I lift the left leg up, one of the most important things I can tell you for your back is don't lift the left hip. Just lift your left leg. If you lift the hip, it's no longer going to help strengthen your back extensors. It now becomes a strengthener for the side body. Lower the left leg. Make sure your feet are together. You'll balance a little bit better on one leg when the feet are closer to the center line. And then lift your right leg. So there. Now the right leg sometimes hangs a little bit. That's okay. You just get it where you can. It's also okay to bend. If the hamstring of the standing leg is ripping away from the bone, bend the knee a little bit, and that'll help you be able to do the practice. Oh, now, while we're doing this, and go ahead and lower the right leg and come and stand up and take a break. While we're doing this, it's important to remember that we are strengthening the back body, but we also are strengthening the front body because the whole time the core is engaged. You lift the pit of the abdomen. We will never say that enough. We will say it and you get so tired of it that you'll forget to do it because you've just heard it so many times. So we need to remind ourselves, do it, do it, do it. Yeah. So here we go. We're going to take the opposite arm up now. Let's make it more entertaining. Oh, and by the way, if I were in extreme high levels of pain and I wanted to still practice this a little bit, it might be better to go down to the floor and do bouncing cat, or just take this leg behind me like this and toe tap it behind me and lift it just a little bit. If lifting makes the pain worse. So stand on your left leg and lift the right leg. Now I've got to make sure that my right, because I'm going to balance on my left leg and my right arm. So I lifted the right leg. I think I did opposite earlier, but that's okay. You got your leg up in the air. It's the opposite arm that's now going to lift up, and try to be level with your ear. I'm looking down at the chair to keep, or the prop, to keep my neck long. I don't really need to look at the wall in front of me. I want my neck long and not compressed. Now create as much space as you can between I'm going to say my left fingertips and my right heel, but if you're doing the opposite, that's okay. Now we're going to place everything down. Take a breath and do the other side. The left leg is going to reach up and the right arm is going to reach up. And you're going to stretch between those 2 points. And then release. Now, something that valuable and important should be repeated. But let's just have this. Well, I'll give you 2 options. If you have a chair like I do, of any sort, you can sit on the chair and do your child's pose in sitting. So you could lean forward, have your elbows on your knees, put your hands on the floor, and just walk your hands out either way. You have 3 choices. Or you could say, I'm just doing bouncing cat, Terry. Then stretch back in child's pose. And then we'll come up. That was nice. As you don't feel like you got ripped off from the rest. The rest is coming because we need to repeat that again. You know, when you're working on strengthening, it is good to repeat, because sometimes the body is trying to learn something, is trying to figure it out. And the second time, or even the third time that you repeat it, then the body starts to get it and really help you. So many times, over so many years, I've heard people say, I don't get it, I can't do it. But all we really need is be patient and keep trying, because the body will help you figure it out. Let's do like a half-forward bend. I lifted the right leg first. I'm going to stick with that. And then the left arm. Release. Other side. Release. And now, once again, child's pose, either in the chair or on the floor. And now the finale, the hook line twist. So everyone lie on your back. I'll do it facing this way. So we'll take the twist and recline to your left first. So you'll take your right leg, see your right leg, and cross it over your left leg. Now it's called hook line twist, which means that the leg hooks over the opposite leg. So you minimize the space. And now your top leg, which is your right leg, if you're doing it like me, if you're mirroring me, it's going to pull your left leg all the way over. So let's see, we're going to the right. I said we're going to the left first. Again, just a reclining finale twist, doesn't matter. It feels good regardless. And then untwist, and we'll switch to the left leg now will come on top of the right leg, and the left leg is on top of the right leg, and the left leg is going to pull the right knee down towards the floor, over to the left. And then release. And then stretch both of your legs all the way out and press the backs of the knees to the floor. Then bring the knees up and give yourself a big hug. And like we did earlier, we'll rock side to side. And then let's roll over to the side and get ourselves set up and prepared for Shavasana. So get all the little props in, especially when you're in back pain, back tension. It doesn't matter. We can say pain, we can say tension, which is talking about what's going on in the back body. Having the legs elevated can be very beneficial in helping that low back area relax. Peter Gosky wrote his book, Pain Free, and he recommends having the knees at 90 and the hips at 90. So that chair could come in very handy with that, or you can use if you're in your living room, you just turn around and put your legs up on the sofa. He calls that static back. And that is a way of getting yourself out of pain, really, because sometimes we're in so much discomfort with our back that we can't hardly even move. So he says, when that happens, get down on the floor, get yourself in static back position. So I recommend that you try that periodically, even if you don't need it. Just practice it so you have it in your collection of things to use as tools. So get rested, or get restful, and let the body absorb your practice. Take a slow, deep breath into your body. And then exhale. Bend your knees. And then take your time, rocking gently side to side, massaging the spine, the back of your pelvis. Roll over all the way to your right side. And then let's push with our hands and our arms and come to a seated posture. The light within me sees and honors that beautiful light within you. Namaste.